it's the guide around data integration. So from there we will talk with you about how we could integrate Salesforce with external system, how external system could be integrated with Salesforce, and how we could actually integrate Salesforce to Salesforce organization. So here you will be able to find a lot of good advices about like what is ETL and how to work with it, how to consider this, and from there we will be able to investigate what kind of command consideration do we have for choosing data integration tool. Okay, and from there we could see that in the first table we have area to consider and common questions. Like for example, what we need to consider is existing tool and landscape. So first of all, we need to understand if we already have any kind of ETL solution in the place, there might be not situation for us to actually where we need to investigate for additional solution, and we might just explore our ETL for new opportunities and new integration data portions. And also we need to understand like what data will be involved actually into our integration and what systems we are actually trying to integrate. Are they located in the cloud or on premise? So all this kind of stuff we need to consider, because if we already have something built in, then it could help us with other integration. But sometimes we also need to consider limitation of the system, and from there we will need to consider other points, like for example data flow. And in terms of data flow, we have here like timing, expected user experience, and directionally. So under expected user experience, what we could understand is, for example, when user working with the UI and when he clicking on some button, what will be his expectation? Will it UI show to him like, okay, your operation is in progress, and he will just see let's say spinner and just it, and he will wait until operation will be completed? Or will there be something that will actually help him to understand that his operation is a long-running operation, and during that he could continue working with the system, and once operation will be done, he just will be notified via some, let's say, application message or something like that. And from there we need to understand based on our common question of how we would like to move forward. Should be synchronous or asynchronous, budget or schedule it. So it means that, for example, if we would like to synchronize big amount of data and we want to actually it be in a synchronous way, so what we could do is, for example, we could collect entire bunch of records that we would like to synchronize and do it only once per day if it's necessary. But if it should be done in real time, in that case we need to work with a synchronous way of integration. And also, we need to understand if it could be scheduled or not scheduled into some specific period of times for us to perform this integration. Also, from there, we need to understand what system should be the source of truth. Let's imagine that we integrate in Salesforce and some another system, and one of systems should be source of truth. So if some record will be changed on one system and it will be changed on the second system, we need to understand what changes we need to apply and what will be the source of truth in that case. So also from here, we need to understand what will be our data source, like what will be our target destination. So will we need to hide some security data and all this stuff coming from another system, and you need to consider what will be the true and what is the data source, what is your target destination, like it should be external database or it should be some platform, or how it should be handled, what you will do if you will get any kind of exception, will you implement any kind of retry operation, how you will handle that, how you will log that, and all this kind of stuff. Does user need to see the result of the integration? Like, should he just get notification like, okay, we will process your record and just see it? Or should he, let's say, immediately see it, so it's just something that we already were able to see? Also, any kind of possible notification about the fail, a possibility to retry, how many attempts should be done, and all this stuff. So second or third point in our area of consider, it's implementation. So what is level of effort for non-Salesforce system? What teams are responsible for delivering integration? It's very important when, for example, we are trying to let's say have collaboration between two teams, and one of the teams, who is, for example, integration team, working with, let's imagine, MuleSoft or any kind of other integration tool, and we really depend on them. And if you don't want to depend on them, like if you consider what kind of our own functionality we could use out of the box to, let's say, cover that use case. Maintainability, of course, it's who will maintain our integration, what skills we need to have, is it, let's say, flexible or not flexible, is it scalable, not scalable, what is the, let's say, total cost of ownership over the time, like if it's require for us to have additional licenses, or how it will work based on the data volumes that we will have, and all the stuff like troubleshooting as well. So next point, as we just mentioned, it's data volume. How much data is involved within the integration? If it will be millions of records per day or per minute, so we need to understand how data volume will have influence on our integration, and what kind of limits do we have. Like, does data need to be combined from several sources systems? Let's imagine you have a two system from where you need to grab your data. After that, you need to synchronize the data, merge some fields, and only after that you need to push it into some system. Like, for example, I did it in the past when we had Heroku, and on the Heroku we just performed callouts to two different video player systems, and from there we grabbed content about the video, merged them together, and only after that we pushed it into the Salesforce. So as you could see, there are let's say good bunch of different items that we could consider. So from there, from this document, we could see that we have in Salesforce some data integration tools, and the main columns that we are trying to check, it's from Salesforce to external system, and from external system to Salesforce, and if additional license required. So what we have here, it's of course app exceptions, change data capture, also REST and SOAP web services. Also, there are no problem for us to implement it, and no additional license required, right? As well as for change data capture. All is the same. External services, right? Generic event, Heroku Connect, MuleSoft, native Salesforce APIs, unbound messages. But with unbound messages, please be aware of functionality of unbound messages. That, for example, when you're working with an envelope and you're trying to send the messages to external system, and external system is not available at the moment, then next time you will try to send the message with your change, with that state of the record that you will have at the time of that period of time when you will try to send that message. And there are, let's say, very good number of different very interesting items around unbound message, so please consider it if you will choose it as option of implementation. Also platform event, of course, push topics, Salesforce Connect, external objects. Yeah. So all this stuff you will be able to check in details. And we also should not forget that, for example, even with Lightning Web Components, what we could do is we could make allowance to the JavaScript functionality. And for example, with Salesforce Flow, it's also, let's say, we have good opportunity to make a callouts to external services or Apex Action, and even if we have Swagger, so we could integrate Salesforce with external system via that let's say integration tools. Also we have Salesforce CLI if it's necessary for us to make something via commands and all this stuff. So for example, if we need to perform unbound integration and we need to make a callout to external system when something happens in our system, and it should be, let's say, synchronous or asynchronous, like for example for asynchronous and fire and forget, or get later response and mark a flag on the record that it's done. Or for example, synchronize waits when we just making a request and getting a reply. So from there you could see that, for example, we could do it with change data capture. It's when we need to push let's say publish our record level changes made in Salesforce to external system, and don't need a custom payload. Yeah. External services, also you could see here how it's work and the way how it works, so it's synchronous. So Heroku Connect also is represented here. It's when we want to extend our data with bidirectional sync to enable mobile and other apps on Heroku. For example, if you would like to replicate with Salesforce, build Composer, Omni Studio Integrator, Procedure, Salesforce Connect even, and also OData 2.0, 4.0 adapters. So about this item, I would like to say additional words. It's, for example, when in the past we developed our own solution on Heroku with OData, it was very interesting because when you just connecting it to Salesforce, something that is working on OData, Salesforce working with it perfectly, and you could use Salesforce own UI and try to search for your records, and it will find your external system records very easily, like they are stored in Salesforce. Even if you will edit those records, delete those records, they will be deleted from external database, updated in the external database, and all this stuff. But in that case, you need to consider that your solution should be fully supported with this OData protocol, because if something is not implemented on OData side on your external service, then it will not work fully. And here also I will attach that document under the video, so you will be able to read more information about, for example, change data capture, about external services, Heroku Connect, and all these other very good items to check. And also here we could see that additional table is presented. It's hybrid tools for abounding integration from Salesforce. It's, for example, when we would like to choose what it will be good for us to use based on the volume and scale. Like, for example, we need to synchronize multiple object support. And you could see in what use cases we need to use Apex actions, generic events, unbound messages, platform events, push topics, Salesforce Connect, with Apex adapters and all this stuff. So you will be able to read it in details. And as I just mentioned, for each of topics we have such kind of, let's say, specific limitations. Like, for example, for about messages, is after 22 hours messages are dropped from the queue, and all the stuff, the same items you have related to platform events, to push topic, and all this stuff. Pro code tool, MuleSoft, external system data to Salesforce, right? How we could integrate it as well. Like, we have Heroku connected, so when we want to extend our data with bidirectional sync to enable mobile and other apps on Heroku, and want to data also be replicated to Salesforce, as you could see, it's also multi-object supported, so no problem with that. Simple solution with low code tool. Platform event, hybrid tool. Yeah, so as you could see in this specific guide, what was done, it was checked from different kind of sites, what it will be better for us to use in different kind of, let's say, use cases. It's, for example, when it will be good for us to use custom Apex, REST, and SOAP web services instead of, let's say, platform events. What it will be good for us to, in terms of debugging, in terms of error handling, will it be out of the box, or we will need to build our own behavior? Can data be encrypted at rest? So you could see all this good information right here, and how it will be better for us to get it and consider it. So I will just I will just attach this document for you under that video, so you will be able to check in the details how it works. And also not forget about if you're just preparing for your, let's say, interview around integration, or around how it will be better to build any kind of integration between different system, you will need to consider answer on the question like how to build integrations from Salesforce to Salesforce, how you could connect external database to Salesforce, how you, for example, could connect a couple external services to database, what is Heroku Connect, what is limitation between different tools, and also very first point that you need to consider is what is the customer interaction will be with the system based on your pattern of integration. So will it be just click and wait for some spinner, just click and get message that record in process, come back later, or how it will look like in terms of the final customer, for you to understand what tool will be better for you to use, and present it to your clients to make a right decision. And that's it from my side, and thanks for the attention.